That was a weird game, Rube.
It was a weird night. We were even talking before the game. Just the whole vibe in the stadium was weird.
It was off.
Something was off tonight, and we were. A few people noticed it, and it was just. I don't know. The crowd was not really vibing, and we were over in the head house doing pregame radio, and it was just like dead over there. And I don't know. I'm not saying that's why they lost, but it was just that kind of day. It was just kind of the crowd wasn't into it, and they just played like crap.
Yeah, they really did. This is Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. A lot to get to. The final score here, 32-21. The Eagles take their first loss of the season, dropped to 8-1. Wasn't that big of a loss. Numbers-wise, they got a touchdown at the end of the game on the very last play. But a loss just the same.
It's been a while since we've done one of these.
Yeah, it really has been. So we're going to get into what led to this loss, where they go from here. We'll break down everything that happened. And then at the end, the return of Dave's Positivity Corner. It's been a long time since we did one of those. Rube, I think the lasting impression of this game for me is that even with all that went wrong, they had a chance to win this and they couldn't do it, which is like, it seems like in previous games, this team had the feel of like, they're going to overcome whatever and just get a win because good teams win games like this, and they couldn't do it tonight.
Yeah, there was especially the Quez catch. They had the ball at the 15-yard line, down 5 with 5.5 minutes left. If he doesn't fumble, they win the game. I felt the same way about the Goddard fumble, and if that doesn't happen, look, if they call face mask there's no fumble, and I think they win the game there. So they had so many opportunities. As bad as they played, 4 turnovers, it was right there for them, and they just couldn't do it. And we've talked about this, like you're not going to be +3 in turnovers. Is like the math at some point is going to catch up to you. It's impossible or extremely unlikely, for that to happen. And this is, I thought they'd be able to overcome it. The fact that they had a chance to win a game with, in the last 5 minutes or take the lead in a game where at that point they had 3 turnovers was pretty crazy.
And there were so many things that had to go wrong for them not to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look at the Quez fumble, the BG penalty.
Oh, yeah.
And there were so many things.
Yeah.
The non-call on Goddard, which leads to that fumble. And look, yes, I am totally in agreement that some of the flags were questionable, especially them missing the face mask on the Goddard call was huge, but
it's not why they lost.
It's not why they lost. It certainly played a role, and we'd be blind if we said that, they got screwed a couple times. But
so did Washington. I thought that offensive pass interference probably was not a great call.
Maybe a little makeup there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But ultimately, they should beat that team and give credit to Washington because they have some good players. Terry McLaurin's a very good player, and we've seen that a bunch, and he's tough. But this is a game the Eagles should win, and it's not on the refs. They had so many chances in this game. Their defense couldn't get off the field. Their offense couldn't stay on the field, even when they had their limited opportunities. It was a stinker.
I felt from the get-go, they got the 14-7 lead. I just thought that they kind of went into the mode of, all right, we're the Eagles, we're 8-0, we're up 14-7. They're Washington, we're at home, it's a Monday night. They're just going to go away. And Washington played hard. Washington seemed like the hungrier team. They seemed like the more intense team. They seemed like the more physical team. They really took it to the Eagles up front, I thought, on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this, Ron Rivera is going to have, teams are going to play hard for him. And they did. I still think the Eagles are way more talented than Washington.
No question.
Way more talented. But if you don't go out and play every game like it's the Super Bowl, and the Eagles certainly didn't do that, bad teams or average teams are going to beat you. And I just thought Washington dictated on both sides of the ball up front. They pushed the Eagles around, and you see what happened. I don't know if they still had chances to win, but Washington was like they were the more confident team. No, they played like the team that was undefeated. sometimes things happen you don't understand. I think Nick Sirianni has done an incredible job this year and last year, but I just don't think this team was ready to play.
Yeah, it's tough to say. It was such a weird game, and my head's still spinning a little bit trying to figure out exactly what happened, because there were these like individual plays that if one of them breaks the other way, we're probably talking about, it wasn't pretty, but they walked out of there with the win. They're undefeated. But it didn't work. It just didn't work.
Yeah, and sometimes, look, like they say, the ball's shaped funny, and sometimes you have these. There's a reason. Two teams have been undefeated regular season. I think back in the 30s and 40s, a couple other teams were undefeated, but modern era, Super Bowl era, it's happened twice, and only one team's won a Super Bowl. So it's really hard to do it. And, I think some things got exposed tonight with this team, and they've got some things to fix.
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing, and it's funny because they lose the turnover battle in this game, which we said eventually that was going to happen. I look at their turnovers, and the Goddard one, it's just unfortunate, right? Like, not much you can do there. The Quez one, he's got to not lose that, but that was just a quirky, weird play. You don't excuse him for it, but it's like, what were the chances that he would?
He's also a guy who's had 9 touches all year.
Yeah.
Just hasn't had the ball in his hands much. And he's trying to make a play, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing. He's not touched, and he sees green ahead of him.
But you also need to understand that on a weird play like that, like when you're down, but you're not touched and you get back up, everything from like your balance and your position and your field awareness, everything's a little bit off. And you're going to have extra ball security there, because I'll tell you what, I don't think he was going to score anyway. Maybe he would have.
I don't think he was.
I don't think he would have, but I'll tell you what, he would have had a 1st and 10 on about the 15.
Yeah.
So the risk reward, but here's a guy that really doesn't play much.
No, I mean, I think anyone's trying to score there.
I guess
it's just you got to protect the football. And he admitted that. And he said, we even talk about on a play like that, you get up, the first thing you have to do is protect it. He didn't do it. But again, just kind of not excusing. It's just a weird play.
And then Jalen interception was a weird play too, because it's a play that AJ never, he never gets out muscled for the ball.
Yeah, it was a pretty good throw.
I thought so.
I mean, it was. Now you can question the decision to throw in the double coverage. Sure. I don't necessarily hate it though. You're throwing it to your best player. You put it there. I asked Jalen about the decision. He didn't. I mean, he said it happens. He didn't want to talk about the decision. But I'm actually curious, in hindsight, what he thinks about the decision, because I have a hard time killing him for it.
Yeah, he has so much trust in it. And we've seen AJ make that play. And AJ had the ball in his hands.
It hit him in the hands. It would have been a really tough play.
It would have.
And there is you throw in double coverage, bad things can happen. But yeah, so it was like those are weird things. And that kind of leads us to we've talked about these turnovers and how they can be kind of fluky at times.
Yeah.
That's what we saw today.
Yeah, and then the last one really had nothing to do with anything but on the last play of the game. But
oh yeah, I guess that technically counts.
That's technically a turnover. They had a lot to overcome, and there was about 2 or 3 spots where I thought, all right, they're going to win the game here.
I mean, when C.J. Gardner-Johnson picked off that pass, I thought, oh, that's it.
There it is. Yeah, we've been waiting for that.
And then when Quez catches the ball, you think, oh,
yeah,
there it is. Next game.
Yeah. Weird game, really strange game. It's you can't lose that. You can't lose to that team at home, division team.
It is a big deal. I mean, the top of the NFC is real tight.
Yeah,
the division's real tight.
Yeah, I mean their margin for error is a lot smaller than it was.
For being a team that was 8-0.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and now you look at the schedule, and all of a sudden it's not that easy at all. I mean, now all of a sudden they play some of these teams that are rejuvenated, and I mean certainly Chicago. I mean Green Bay's coming off their best win of the year, and they still have a Hall of Fame quarterback. The Colts, seem to get some sort of invigorated from the coaching change, and nothing against Frank, but sometimes that
quarterback change too.
quarterback change didn't hurt, certainly. So, now you look at the schedule and you're like, all right, where are all those gimmies? I know if they play like this against Green Bay or Tennessee or the Colts, Giants, Bears, I mean, they're not winning those games.
Yeah, I think this is, and you credit Washington, but I kind of think this is just more on the Eagles.
I think so too. I think the Eagles lost this game more than Washington won it.
Yeah. And look, I credit them because they do have good players and they played hard, but
they played smart.
Yeah, I mean, let's kind of get into that because their drives, I mean, they had scoring drives of 13 plays, 12 plays, 16 plays, 8 plays at the end of the half. I mean,
14 plays.
14 plays in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, four drives of 12 or more plays. I have to look up the last time that happened. But
I mean, it was pretty clear what they were doing.
Yeah, run on first and second.
Couldn't stop them. They were getting these third and manageables, and they were staying on the field. This was the Washington was the 27th ranked third down team in the league. They killed the Eagles.
Yeah, I wrote that down here. They're 26. What did you say? 26?
27.
I had 26, but yeah, not good. There was one point they were 8 for 10. The NFL's tracked third down conversions since 1992. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time the Eagles have ever allowed 12 third down conversions in a game.
Wow. Yeah, it ended up
being the first half.
Yeah, ended up being 12 for 21. The Eagles defense got better in the second half.
Yeah, and didn't you sense that like there was a point where the Eagles were like, okay, like we're in trouble. Let's start playing now, and they started running the ball a little bit. They were a little more balanced on offense. They started pressuring a little more, but it was too late. I got the sense they were like, all right, we're in trouble. We better wake up. Let's start making some plays here.
It was tough because they were on defense, at least like they were in their odd man front, which you're kind of living with that you have guys on the line, but then you're playing zone behind them, and it was loose zone, a lot of it. And I get it. You respect some of their playmakers, but there were moments where I'm like, come on, like play some man and just give your DBs a chance to make some plays early on.
Heineke on third down had completions of 14, 18, 23, and 26 yards just in the first half. Excuse me. Pardon me. Yeah, guys were just wide open. And they just didn't pressure. Sweat had the sack early and started thinking it's going to be another,
Yeah.
And I think the BG play where he got the penalty, I think technically that's a sack, I think.
They ruled it a sack. That was a Reddick. And Hargrave had a sack again.
Hargrave had a sack.
That was a big sack, too, at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And he's been really good. But, Fletcher was terrible.
It was a bad Fletcher game. And we've seen bad Fletcher games. This guy's getting $14 million a year.
Yeah. He got off to a hot start, but he has not been good. And Milton Williams and Marlon Pelotu, with Jordan Davis out, they've had to play more. And
Marlon played a ton, at least early. He was there.
Well, he made a nice play on the fumble recovery. It was good.
And look, Milton made a nice play on the one screen pass, blew it up for TFL. But overall, I mean, they're getting run all over. And look, that's a hard running back. He hasn't been very good. I mean, Washington is not known as a great running attack.
No. Well, they averaged 3.1. They just kept doing it. Yeah. 49 carries is the second most carries against the Eagles in the last 40 years. And this is interesting. The only time they allowed more was against Pittsburgh in 2004 when they were 7-0, went into Pittsburgh and lost 27-3. And Bettis had like 33 carries in that game. And I think they had 60 as a team. So the most carries against them in the last 40 years have been when they were 7-0 and 8-0. I don't know what that means, but I found it interesting.
Eagles were doubled up in time of possession.
There was a point, I wrote this down. There was a point late in the third quarter where Washington had 38 rushing attempts and the Eagles had 5.
Yeah.
And that was another look. They didn't have a lot of plays in the first half. But Miles had 1 carry in the first half.
Yeah.
I think he's one of your best players, and he just wasn't used. And I think when your offense is struggling to find a rhythm, which they clearly were, you lean on what you do best, and this team runs the ball really well. And I just thought Shane was too slow in dialing that up.
Yeah, I get your point there. It was just such a they didn't have any plays.
Well, they had 19 plays in the first half, and one was a Miles Sanders run. I just don't like that ratio.
Yeah, I get it.
And look, he was effective once they started. I mean, Washington's on a great run defense. What did Miles end up like 12 for 56 or something?
Yeah, he ended up 12 for 54, long of 8. So it wasn't like he was breaking off chunks.
4.5. Well, Washington didn't have a run longer than 11, and they had 152 yards.
Yeah, but like you look at their we're off the script here because we're supposed to be talking about defense. But,
sorry.
Yeah.
But who cares?
Okay, well, let me go through it then, because in the first half, I mean, they had back-to-back touchdowns to start the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to fault them for not running the ball. They got in the end zone. Then they had the next drive. It was the interception. I'm not going to fault them for not running the ball there. They were taking a shot deep. And then the next one was a 3-and-out, and they punted. So they had 4 possessions in the first half. 2 of them they scored touchdowns on. One was an interception where they're trying to push the ball down the field. So I get what you're saying, but I have trouble really faulting them for not running the ball, and I'm probably in the minority there.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but even in the third quarter, I thought they were slow to get him involved, and once they did, they had a 12 play 80-yard touchdown drive.
Yeah. Well, that was their wasn't that their drive? Wasn't that the first drive of the second half?
No.
Oh, that was my bad.
No, yeah. But anyway, I hear you. There wasn't a lot of plays to go around. I just thought the offense was wonky. It's like, let's get this thing settled down. And I just thought Shane was too slow doing it. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at it. It's just the weirdest drive chart ever, because they had one drive in the third quarter.
They ran 3 plays in the third quarter.
Yeah. Wacky. Anything else on defense? Because that's what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned about edge pressure.
I'll tell you what, Robert Quinn, that's not looking great.
It's not happening.
3 games in, you gave up a 4th-round pick for this guy.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. I don't think he's very good. I mean, he had 18 sacks last year.
And I went back and watched him in Chicago, and I saw signs that he still had it.
Yeah.
They need him. And then Josh Sweat got cut on a cut block, and he just wasn't the same after that in this game, because that early sack from him was incredible.
It was a great play. Yeah. I mean, and the D-line in general, I just thought they got pushed around.
They did?
So I thought they get pushed around. I don't see any options at this point.
I mean, you got what you got.
Yeah. I
mean, hopefully Jordan Davis will be back in 3 weeks when they play Tennessee. They can really use them in that game.
Yeah. I think that Washington kind of set a blueprint here on how to attack this team.
I think the blueprint's been out there.
Maybe. I think, look, you can't do it if the offense is effective. And if some of those turnovers turn into touchdowns, Washington can't run the ball 50 times.
You're probably right.
So that's where we always talk about complementary football. And the only time you can have success running the ball against the Eagles is when the offense isn't putting that pressure on the other team and getting them out of, running plays.
There are some schematic things they just got to figure out on defense, because they're better stuffing the run when they're in their 5-man front, but then you're playing zone behind it and you're playing kind of loose because you don't want to give up big plays. Maybe we start seeing some 4-man fronts with like run blitzes, trying to stuff up some of those gaps. I'd try that a little bit. You have guys who can do that. And Kaiser's a guy you can probably send on some run blitzes just to mix it up, because I think you end up in these kind of tough situations where, man, you're living and dying by that.
You look at the schedule. I mean, the Colts have Jonathan Taylor, but that's a matchup that's a little scary. Packers run the ball really well. The Titans, we know who they have. Then the Giants with the quarterback and the running back.
Yeah.
And then the Bears, their quarterback just ran for like 300 yards more than 300 yards the last 2 games. And then Zeke and Tony Pollard come to town. That's a little daunting right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's a little scary. They, like you said, they'll have. Well, we don't know that they'll have Jordan Davis back. He's eligible.
And even if when he comes back, I mean, he was only playing 22 snaps.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. He'll help.
How much is he going to be able to go when he's back? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little scary. And again, if the offense doesn't turn the ball over 4 times and they finish drives, and if
I'll call it 3.
What's that?
I'll call it 3 turnovers for my sake.
Well, it is 4. I mean, technically, but yeah. 3 that really affected the game. But if they turn the Goddard play into a field goal and the Quez play into a touchdown, now you got 31 points. You're up 30, probably 31.
And hey, give the defense credit on after that Goddard fumble.
Yeah,
they helped him a field goal.
Yeah, they did.
So we were talking. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
Sirianni's decision to decline that penalty, it led to a 55-yard field goal. We were kind of texting back and forth a little bit. You thought, did you think that they should have?
I thought he should have taken the 5 yards. It would have been a 3rd and 17.
Yeah.
And
I was okay with that decision.
Yeah, you said.
Well, because then you worry about a cheap defensive hold gives them a first down.
Yeah, but I'm willing to take that chance because I think their chances are. Look, the kid had made a 58-yarder. He has a big leg, but I don't even know if they would try a 60-yarder because now if you miss a 60-yarder, which would probably be one of the longest kicks.
Yeah, but you'd have a 3rd down to pick up some yards.
Yeah, they say they run a draw play and they get 13 yards. So
yeah.
No, I mean I think in that instance I'm trusting my defense to try to. I think that the risk reward is pretty good.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd be so worried about a ticky-tack hold or something that gives you a cheapy first down.
Yeah.
And look, I know he made a 58-yarder, but 55-yard kick outdoors in the cold is not a gimme. I was fine with them.
Yeah, I would have taken the yards.
Okay.
In that situation.
We disagree there.
Yeah.
I don't think either, I don't think there was such a clear call that you can say that's egregious. He messed up that. I don't think either way it would have been egregious.
Yeah. You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself. Shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Opioid addiction is a national public health crisis. The Someone You Know podcast from the Independence Blue Cross Foundation offers inspiring stories that challenge stigma, offer hope, and humanize the disease of addiction. Download the new season 3 of Someone You Know on all major podcast platforms. All right, let's talk about this offense.
Well, I didn't mention Slay when we talked about the defense. I was really disappointed. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just really weird seeing him have such a bad game.
Yeah, and look, Terry McLaurin's
really good.
Very good player. And it's been a while since we've seen Slay get bested by a really good receiver, and it's going to happen. He plays arguably the toughest position in the sport, and it's tough sledding when you're one-on-one against that guy. And I also think there were moments where the spacing was off. They're in zone. I think he expected a little bit more help at times. I think they were just a little out of sorts on defense.
Yeah, that's fair. I sense that too. All right, let's go to the offense.
Yeah. Not a lot in the first half in terms of just pure plays. It's got to be tough to get in a rhythm like that. You're watching most of the game.
Yeah. It's a cold night. You're on the bench with a big old parka, watching Washington just go 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards,
all the way down the field.
Up and down the field a few times. And look, the best way to defend Jalen Hurts is to keep him off the field. And I thought he played pretty good for the most part.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought he played.
I thought he was fine.
I thought he was fine.
I didn't
like that sack at the end on that.
He ran into it.
He's done that a few times lately.
Yeah, he panicked and he ran into a sack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't great, especially in the situation. I thought early there were a few he wasn't in rhythm. The passes weren't where they needed to be. There was one to Devontae where it's really got to be the outside shoulder. There were a few that I thought, man, he's going to get someone hurt out there. Not hospital balls, but like thrown into tight windows where you're going to get hit. It seemed a little off. And but the thing is, we've seen him be off early in games before, but they've had enough plays where he's able to find the rhythm. And this one, I mean, it's really tough when you're only on the field 6 minutes in the first half. Now, some of that is obviously on them because they had
shouldn't have scored so fast.
Yeah.
I also thought, I mean, he didn't get a lot of help. You know, AJ was banged up when I guess he
hurt his ankle early. Yeah.
Goddard got banged up later. Did Goddard come back?
Mm-hmm.
He did come back. Yeah. He's a tough
Didn't
dude.
see him in the locker room, but
yeah, that's concerning. And I heard AJ say he'll be okay, but it sounds like he was pretty banged up.
AJ Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't get a lot of help. The only play they hit over 15 yards, they ended up fumbling.
Yeah, I know. So. That's the thing. And you look at the numbers, Quez goes 4 for 80. He's the leading receiver. And on his big play, he fumbled it.
Yeah. The Eagles, and this really goes for both sides of the ball, their best players did not have good games. Whether it was AJ, Goddard, Slay, Miles didn't have a great game. He didn't play poorly. He just didn't have opportunities.
I actually thought Miles played pretty well on that touchdown drive in the second half.
Yeah. No, that's why it's frustrating to see him just 12 carries, but I get it. They didn't have a lot of plays. I just think he's so good.
He made one play. It was the one on the right sideline. Zach Pascal had a great block. Miles had a stiff arm, and he was patient enough to wait for Pascal to set the block. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, Miles doesn't make that play a couple years ago.
Right. He's running so disciplined and seeing the field so well. I thought the offensive line just was not good. I think they got pushed around. I don't think they were terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was okay, honestly.
I didn't like the way they played. I like the way anybody played, but Hurts, it's interesting. I wrote a story about how he's running less and staying out of harm's way. I thought this was a game where some of his runs could have helped.
Well, they did. I mean, he ended up with a few design runs.
He had the 112-yard run. I think he had back-to-back called runs. Yeah. And he had a touchdown, but he's just
the one thing I love offensively, by the way, that touchdown to Goddard, the jump pass.
Yeah.
They set that up. I mean, that's next level stuff from Sirianni and Steichen. Really, I was actually surprised they used it at the 6-yard line. I thought they'd wait for something like that from the goal line. But, there's so much attention on Jalen as a runner down close to the goal line there to then throw a jump pass and get an easy touchdown. I thought that was an impressive wrinkle.
Why do you think he hasn't had any long runs lately?
Hurts?
Yeah.
Fair question. I don't know if there's one answer to that.
It's interesting to me. I'm just going to call this up here. I mean, he used to have like a 20-yard run. He doesn't have a run longer than – he doesn't have a run of 20 yards since week 2, Minnesota. I'll have to check the numbers. Last year, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had 7 runs.
I think part of it isn't a negative. I mean, I think part of it is his growth in the offense. And as a passer, it's like, because some of those, it's not like those were design runs. A lot of them were scrambles where he was probably taken off before he maybe should have. And he was creating.
Maybe it's my imagination. He doesn't look as fast to me when he gets out in the open field. And
you've said that. I don't know if I've seen the opportunities to see him look that fast.
Maybe. I just wonder if, about it, if he's healthy. You don't slow down when you're 24. I just, we know that there's guys that don't tell us about injuries. I don't know. He just, I've always said he's running too much. Now I feel like, maybe he should run more. That's probably, I don't know. Because it's such a weapon when he does it and just hasn't done it much.
Yeah, you're right.
Gainwell had a bad drop.
Again, I mean,
This has been happening since day one of training camp.
yeah, it's a shame because that's what he's supposed to be able to do. And even on the next one, man, they threw it right back to him, and I don't mind that. I like getting it.
Yeah.
But it was like everyone holds their breath.
Yeah. Yeah, he's running the ball well, but yeah, he's got to be able to catch the ball. He's not gonna play.
Our first like really silent AJ Brown game.
Yeah, that story's never gonna get published.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
One catch for 7 yards on 4 targets.
Yeah,
one of those targets ended up in an interception.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of it was the injury. Devontae caught some balls early, had the touchdown, but they're kind of underneath short stuff.
Nice effort on the touchdown.
Yeah.
Getting in the end zone there.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. At that point, I thought it was going to be like 31-13.
Yeah, it was such a weird game. I mean, I think there were a lot of points in this game where I'm like, they'll figure it out. It's not going to be pretty. They'll figure it out. They'll win the game.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what they've done when they haven't played well before. And it ends up being like not close at all.
Right.
Not tonight. Yeah.
It was. I mean, even with 5.5 minutes left, I'm like, they're gonna drive down and win the game. Then they hit the deep ball to Quez.
Yeah.
I wonder if Quez should play. But he plays a lot of snaps. Doesn't get a lot of targets. I'd like to see one of those deep balls once in a while. Special teams had
they did it finally.
Special teams had their weekly blunder.
Which one?
The rookie, the roughing the punter.
Oh yeah.
Just look, I know he's an undrafted rookie. He's trying to make a play, but
that was a weird one. It looked like it was Reed Blankenship and Kyron Johnson, and it looked like Kyron and Reed like ran into each other, and it sent Reed off balance. Did you notice that?
Yeah, but his momentum was going toward the punter anyway.
Yeah. Another thing is, do you love them sending that in that situation?
No.
I mean, I thought the play call was interesting.
Yeah.
Do you need to send the house on?
No. Yeah. No. And I mean, it ended up not hurting them. I think they got the turnover. The sweat strip sack was right after that. But every week, special teams does something that just makes you like, what the heck is going on here? So,
positivity corner time.
Let's do it.
CJGJ.
Yeah.
Another interception.
First Eagle ever with an interception in 5 straight games.
It's impressive. And this was one that ball felt like it hung up there forever, but he makes a great play on it. I thought he even had some good moments as a tackler in this game. Thought he took some good angles, and
they actually tackled well, which makes, the success Washington had running the ball even more surprising. They just pounded it.
Yeah.
Just pounded it up the middle.
They had to be gassed by the end of the game.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. You got another thing for positivity?
I think Hargrave's playing really well.
6 sacks in his last 3 games.
6 sacks in the last 3 games. He had a tackle for loss. He had a quarterback hit. He had 13 tackles, which you don't see now. A lot of them are probably 5 yards down the field. But he's been playing really well.
Thought the punter was okay.
Yeah, that's if we're down to that.
Well, cold weather game.
Yeah, it was his first bad weather game.
I mean, it was unfortunate for him on the one, because it was a nice play by him to avoid the rusher and punt it, but you got a legal man downfield because it took so long.
Right. I like the play. It
was heads up rugby play.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned him, but I just really like the way Miles is running the ball. It's just
I thought Miles had a good game.
Yeah,
especially on that drive, man. He was giving them exactly what they needed.
Yeah. Yeah, and he hasn't been getting the big gains, but it's hard to average like 5 yards a carry when you don't get those 20 and 30-yard runs. But like Saquon, his teammate, every game he has like a 40-yard run, and then like all his other carries, he's like 19 for 26. But Miles is the opposite. He just kind of keeps the sticks moving. I don't have a whole lot else.
I'm digging here. You got anything else for Positivity Corner?
I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah. Apologies to anyone we missed, but I think that's just about it.
I don't think we missed anyone.
Yeah.
Asante Samuel was funny in the pregame.
You have to see Asante. How's he doing?
He's doing well. Yeah, he's doing great. He's making his case for the Hall of Fame. We were laughing because he said, "I bet you guys get a lot more work done in the locker room now that I'm not in there," because he would never shut up. And, but yeah, it was good seeing him.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he talked about his son and just how hard he is on him. And
son's pretty good.
I said, Santa, your son's a better tackler than you. He's like, I know. You know what? Positivity. Josiah Scott did not play bad.
No, had a big pass break up on third down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're going to need him because they're without Avonte Maddox. He's on IR for at least next. Games. Yeah, 3 more.
I thought he played well.
Yeah. They don't have a lot of options there. They got to play him. Yeah. I know. I had some people asking me if you move, you don't move Gardner Johnson.
No.
I mean, he's got interceptions in five.
Leading the NFL in interceptions.
Yeah, you can't move him. So
most interceptions by an Eagle safety since Greg Jackson had 6 in '94. It was a good quote. So and the Eagles are pretty consistent on that. Like at any position, like they won't shuffle the O-line. They'll just go
unless there's a very compelling reason to do it.
Yeah, if there's a huge drop off or something.
And in this case, I think it really does weaken 2 spots.
Yeah.
Because then you're putting Kayvon out there, who had a nice tackle on third down.
Yeah, it was a great play.
Yeah.
That's the best play he's ever made, I think.
Yeah, it was a good play.
Yeah. Because like he got out of the initial tackle. It was a big hit, but then he wrapped him up and got him down. That was good to see. I'm a little concerned about Jordan Mailata and his shoulder.
He was, he's in some pain. He's playing through it. I give him credit.
Yeah. I just wonder at what point do you rest him for a couple of weeks and get Dillard in there? I just don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Short week. We'll talk more in the next pod, but
might not be a bad thing. Get this out of your mouth. Taste out of your mouth.
Maybe.
All right. That it?
Yeah.
We good? All right. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. We'll be back with you to break down this loss a little bit more later in the week and look ahead to Indy. That's it for Reuben. I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.